Coach, overall, just how's your group look so far in the spring?
Just a lot more mature. In all honesty, just we know the calls, 1 year in the system, so that changes a lot. The addition of Rusty and then Cole actually being healthy and coming back, they know the offense in and out. So just with the maturity of not having to scream something at the last second and they can correct everything on the fly, that changes a lot for the offense.
Right, and how have your tackles looked with making the position changes?
Pretty comfortable, honestly. In my opinion, Caleb looks really good over there, right? Monroe, he's already played left before, so it's easy for him to make that switch back. But he's gotten really strong. Caleb's trying to get a lot stronger too. So the off season was a really, really big deal for us at the tackle position.
And how has Jacoby Jackson looked so far?
Really good, really good. And having Cole back and the maturity of Cole and him, honestly, we've had this conversation. Cole has made Jacoby so much better just because of the fact that when you have somebody that's experienced like that and doesn't shun you and turns around and mentors you and they talk while I'm talking to like a tackler or something like that, that really does help just the overline, like just adding depth, and then on top of that, everybody being on the same page at the same time.
How's Dennis looking at guard?
Awesome. He loves it. He doesn't have to make any calls anymore, so he's freed his mind and he's been able to just be able to go hit people, which he loves to do. So, but I still make him go snap. Don't you worry. So.
Well, I was going to ask you what skill or skills he has that y'all feel made him better suited for guard or center, or is it just the fact that
It was more of we had more guards than centers last year, honestly, and so when he was able to snap and get everything just called out and his brute strength, that's what got the offense going. So we had a couple wild snaps there throughout the camp process, and that was the ultimate decision of making Dennis the starter, was his snapping ability. So that was kind of how we ended up there.
How do you feel about the depth of the line completely? Does it free you up to allow you to do more things?
Yeah, it frees me up to actually be able to do other things in the basics. And I know that sounds crazy, but the difference is last year overhauling an entire offense like that, and now I'm freed up to be able to, the twos and the ones know exactly what I'm talking about. There's no new transfer kid in here, so the only kids that are learning the system are the two mid-year kids. So everybody else has been in the system. So how it frees me up personally is the fact that now we can actually open the portfolio of these kids, and now we can work on different techniques at different times instead of let's learn the basics and we have to learn every step A. We're way past that now.
what does Rusty bring to your unit?
Energy, juice, and just an overall knowledge that nobody else has. What he'll do for the younger centers in the room is something that I can't create myself. You're gonna see him. He will be one of the most excited people you see when we do team compete out here. When you see him in a scrimmage, he's gonna be rolling. He's gonna be talking reckless, and you'll love it.
What was it like when y'all reconnected with him?
On his visit, it was hilarious because he came down, gave me a big old hug, and immediately we just started talking ball. So then we turned on the game film and we just started talking about, okay, what did y'all call last year at WKU? Okay, this is what I've been doing. So then he went through the whole process, and it was actually probably the easiest official visit I've ever had because he knows the lingo and he wanted to kind of pick my brain about what we've been doing opposed to what they were doing when I left WKU.
Coach, you touched on Cole's impact, I guess, just as a veteran presence.
Yeah.
How was that an asset during last season, even though he was injured? How much of an asset was he?
So last year when he was injured, they called him a senior citizen, so that was good. So they actually joked with him. He wasn't the outcast. But his input was he could pull a kid aside while I'm having to talk to somebody, like a Jacoby or even a Weston Wright back then, and he could pull them aside and kind of, translate exactly what I'm saying if they weren't getting it, because I have a certain lingo that I'm going through, and they're going through a bunch of different terminology when I first got here. And so to simplify it, he would help them out. So him now on the field changes a lot for me because I don't have to worry about that communication process. And that's what really helps our O-line, makes everybody look a lot better because they're talking, it's not me screaming. So.
How do you feel that this O-line is going to not only help take some pressure off of whoever the quarterback is, but be able to give some room for the running backs?
I think one of the funniest things. So going back to Dennis, going to guard, the first time we tried Dennis at guard last bowl prep, and Caleb did some center reps. Dennis comes through and he blows up the defensive end, and Taj basically walks in the end zone. Taj starts laughing and he's like, "I've never seen a hole that big." And I was like, "Well, Dennis is one of the thickest humans on the team." So That's how this O-line is. We're trying to get it to work is to where we get to actually have fun now. It's not a job. It's more of we're going out there and we're actually beating up on people, and it's really fun to do.
Once you get to August and you have everybody healthy, what level of competition do you expect, considering you have like Cole at guard at the same position as Jacoby and Dennis and Landon are both starting guard? You have about 3 or 4 tackles that are starting games.
Well, I love it because of one thing. Competition is the best. It's the best coach out there. So the biggest thing is Landon, once he gets back and then he gets in the rhythm, now Dennis feels it. He feels that pressure. Right now, Cole knows that Jacoby's played a bunch of games last year, so he's playing lights out right now, and they're all pressing each other. And so Caleb having to go back to right, and then now you got Ty back there. Ty's doing some really good stuff, so he's pushing him every day. And then you got Matt Keeler on the left, and he feels a lot more comfortable at left. And so now Monroe sees him pressing the point. The biggest thing, to be completely honest, is we're all gelling, and that's the major point. We don't have feuds, we don't have internal fights, and that's half the battle in the O-line room. There's the pecking order. Everybody knows it goes through me, and I'm going to be the most fair. There's the best person's going to play, and since I've shown that and I've proven that in the past, we're all on the same page.
Do you feel like when you kick it off, you'll have 10 guys that you're comfortable putting in games?
I would really hope so, because that's a healthy offensive line at the Power 5 level. And coming from here, playing here, and then going to the group of 5, and then coming back here, you're not always going to have 10. You should have 10 that can play at all times. And so that's the biggest thing. It's the next man up, where if somebody does go down, there is no blinking, and it's not, let's change the schematic of the whole offense. It's you should be able to do that, and you've been waiting for this time.
Considering you yourself played on one of the best offensive lines, maybe the best offensive lines ever played, how much separation was there between what you were accustomed to playing with versus how the level you played at last year? So,
I would say there was a difference, and I would say the difference is it comes from overhauling an offense. Whereas the guys that I played with, we all had the same head coach the whole time. Whereas you take a Western Wright, he's on his 3rd coach basically. You know what I mean? And so different philosophies and whatnot. With us, I mean, our deal is we had such gel and unity together because we had spent so much time together. So like I said, like a healthy offensive line, there was a 2 behind me. Like Sean Burns is behind me, you know what I mean? And then Louis got someone like Lonnie Edwards behind him. There's a very, very healthy offensive line, and so there was no fear to ever play. We didn't have to go above and beyond. We were just getting to play, and that's how we were so good.
You said you were talking earlier about having 1s and 2s. Talk about the younger players that are making an impact that have shown you or shocked you so far this spring.
The 2 mid-years have shocked probably everybody here, and I kind of saw it when I was on their home visit. But Daniel Silva from College Station, he's an immediate impact. He'll be a freak. Right now he's a baby falling all over the place, but when he actually gets his hands on you, it's a good sight to see. Caden Carr is a complete meathead. Like, he is a block. So once he smokes you in the chest, it's like a grown man. So it's going to be molding him to take the kind of the anger out of him and then focus that into like the punch instead of going wild. So their impact's been really, really cool, because then we got 3 more kids that are coming in, and they should make a dynamic impact also.
How comfortable do you feel now that you've gotten your level of what your expectations from these players, and how you are seeing the seeds that you planted last year now starting to grow and show?
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me that my blood pressure's been lower this spring ball. It's not that it's lowered, it's just the fact of the matter that they're actually talking, so I don't have to talk for them. So me screaming all last year was because I'm actually making the calls from the backfield, and everybody thinks I'm having a complete meltdown, but it was me making all the calls. Now we can make the calls, I can sit back, and now we can get to elevated questions. So now they can walk up to me, ask a sophisticated question, and we can work through that instead of a basic, that was your guy, he's in your gap. It's very easy type of situation. So that's how it frees me up.
How does that elevated conversation help develop them for their future?
Everything, because they're going to have to be able to talk what they see. And last year, a lot of things was, I don't know what's happening, because we were going so fast, they weren't used to going that fast. Now the game slows down is what really happens. And so when they can come to the sidelines and we can all have a mature conversation and it's not chaos, now we can really do some extra stuff. Now we can start putting in the pieces of a pro level type program, and this will enhance their career so that one, they'll know how to do it on the board, and two, they can actually verbally talk it, which I know is hard for everyone these days, but they can talk as a young kid to an adult and tell them what they're seeing instead of just, I don't know. So that's where it really comes in. The NFL, this will change their life forever if they can have mature conversations, because the next level will absolutely demand that of them.
Got time for about one or two more.
You said a moment ago, you said Daniel Sewage has a freak
Yeah.
in terms of
Athleticism. Yeah.
ability, like
Not
height,
football yet. Not football yet. But athleticism, 100%. He's got all the intangibles. He's got the size. He's got the weight. And he's got the feet. So once we get them all underneath themselves and he starts to just age, honestly, that's when everything takes off big time.
You talked about Ty in that way last year.
Yeah.
You're saying on that same level of athletic ability.
He is. He's right now. He does something phenomenal, and it's like you can't even comprehend it. And then the next one, then he overthinks the situation, and he'll take like a false step, and then he gets beat. But when he does everything right, you can't beat him. He's one of the best we have.
Which positions do you kind of envision those two guys playing, Daniel and Caden?
Caden Carr, I believe, will always be a guard, and Daniel will be a tackle, and he'll swing both ways. He's natural at it, and he'll grow into his own feet soon enough.